You're dialed in to the antidote to globalist mainstream media who would have you believe all is well. We're much more than a show. We're a movement, and we invite you to join us. This is Revelation Nation with Maxon and Platts. You're watching Revelation Nation with Maxon and Platts. I'm Mark Maxon.
And I'm Shiloh Platts.
Good to be with you again, Shiloh.
It's great to be here, Mark. This is long overdue. I know we've both been very excited to get this show off and running, and here we finally are.
Well, I want to thank everybody that's viewing right now, and I hope you're going to really enjoy what you hear today in this brief segment or introduction as to what our plans are and how we'll be moving forward. First, let me qualify. Revelation Nation is not just a show. Revelation Nation is a movement, and we're inviting you to join the movement. I want to tell you a little bit about myself. I've been in radio broadcasting since 2001. I was in radio broadcasting up through 2016, into 2016. And during my years, I was forced to do a great deal of homework, a lot of due diligence. For every 2 hours I was on the air, I was doing 2-3 hours worth of research and reading. And over the course of that time, many of my views changed as an American because I started to realize very quickly that the mainstream media was not telling us the truth. Often they were not, they weren't telling us the truth at all. Sometimes it's a partial truth, kind of bait you in, get you believing in them. And I caught them in lie after lie after lie. And you're talking to a guy who used to listen to ABC, NBC, CBS, MSNBC, CNN. I was gun shy of Fox back in those days, but in the 26 presidential campaign, I actually started discovering that the only one that was telling anything close to the truth was the Fox network. Now, I'm not saying they're perfect by any means, and if you do some research, you're going to find out that there are specific bodies, corporations that hold significant interests in each one of these networks, but we'll be getting into that in future shows. Let me just tell you, for 25 years, I've been a business consultant, helping businesses grow, improve, increase their profitability. I've been referred to as a life and business development coach. Also been called some other names along the way.
Not by me.
With that said, just give us time in our new broadcast together, Shiloh, but yeah, we do tend to agree on a great deal. With that, I've also written 3 books, No Bullshit Selling, How to Dominate Your Industry, No Bullshit Success, 12 coaching sessions to shatter your limitations, and of course, Achieving Excellence in Life. The years that I spent in broadcasting were as much an opportunity to educate others as to educate myself. And educated, that's exactly what I got. I got educated in the process. I've interviewed countless senators, members of the House. I've interviewed governors. I've interviewed countless New York Times bestselling authors, some of the most fascinating subjects imaginable. I've interviewed the great former congressman from Texas, the great state of Texas, I was going to say, Ron Paul. I've interviewed the colorful, articulate, crazy soul, but very intelligent Jesse Ventura, former governor of Minnesota, and of course, wrestler. I've interviewed Naomi Wolf, who wrote To the End of America, Give Me Liberty. She's out on the speaking circuit right now. I have interviewed, I'm just thinking real quick, Confessions of an Economic Hitman. I didn't want to miss that one because so much of what we're seeing can be tied back to the FBI, the Justice Department, the CIA in this country today. Listen, friends, I've interviewed a lot of very powerful people running multi-billion-dollar corporations. This isn't to boast. If anything, you'll get to understand that I'm a very humble person in general as a whole. I have a great deal of humility. What motivates me here is that somehow or another I was introduced to this back in 2001 for a purpose. And I didn't understand that purpose back then. Today, I believe I do. America is under attack. This is absolutely a nightmare situation we're facing as a country, as a people. If you're sick and tired of watching the value of your dollar decline and everything at the grocery store go up, housing go up, your earning power seems to be diminishing. Even if your wages are increasing, you can't begin to keep up with the cost of what it takes just to live today. If you're disgruntled with what you're hearing in the media and you don't feel you're being told the truth, if you're tired of what's coming out of Washington, you feel you're being deceived at that level as well, you're going to want to tune in to this show. You're going to want to become involved in this movement, because we are dedicated to bringing a fresh perspective and simultaneously complement a lot of the great voices that are already out there in broadcasting. We know there's some wonderful people that deserve to be recognized. We're going to bring you a lot of great guests. We're going to bring you, as I stated, a lot of powerful information, and we're going to empower you with that information and recommendations, actions that you can take as an individual. Because if you're feeling helpless, if you're feeling like, what can I do? You've come to the right place, because together we can move mountains. We can part the seas, because we are the people of the United States of America. This Declaration of Independence, this Constitution, was inspired by God from my perspective. And I believe it is here to survive, but it is going to require a united effort from the American people to hold it together. And the people around the world are depending upon us. And so I just hope you'll keep coming back and get to know us. I know you'll be thrilled that you did. Matter of fact, you'll be ecstatic that you did. Shiloh, with that, I'm going to turn it over to you, partner.
Yeah, and my background is I studied at the University of Utah, earned a degree from there, and then Mark, through other circumstances, meeting him in his business endeavors through his consulting firm, met me, invited me on to his show at the time, and I think you had been in broadcasting on the radio for, 14, 15 years maybe by that point. And anyway, he invited me on, and I was a guest, and then he invited me back as a guest, and eventually I just never left. So we had our own show together.
Shut up long enough.
No,
Okay.
I know, and he, he couldn't shake me. So there I stayed.
I loved it.
And and we did a wonderful radio show together. It had tremendous success with our listeners on that show, Shooting Straight with Maxon and Platts. And then I moved down here to the great state of Texas, where I currently live. I've been here for about 5 years. I'm involved very much so in local politics as a precinct chair for the Jefferson County Republican Party. I've also served as a state delegate in the Texas Republican Party. It's a place I love very much. But for a place that I love very much, I believe that it's in dire straits, just like the rest of the country. And that's why I'm doing this show, folks, is because we have a government and a mainstream media that lies to us constantly. The lies are getting bolder. They're getting more frequent. And I want to be your voice. I want to be the voice of the folks who have been forgotten in this country. You know who you are. If you believe in God, and I don't care if you're a Christian, Muslim, or Jew, if you believe in God, you are under attack, because we're in a spiritual war, folks. It's good versus evil, as I see it. And this is a movement. This is a movement for truth and accountability, two values and pillars that I know Mark and I both place above almost anything else. What makes us different? We know as viewers that you have hundreds, if not thousands, of choices of shows you can watch, podcasts you can listen to, radio shows you can tune into, but you're not going to get the perspective on those shows that you're going to get here. And this is why. You know this already, but I'm going to remind you. Most of the networks are going to offer you a leftist, globalist perspective. Mark referenced Fox earlier, and yes, most of the time they do great work. With the exception, though, of maybe one show on that network, you're going to get the establishment Republican point of view. They tout that line fairly regularly on Fox. Well, we don't adhere to any party lines on this show. We're going to present to you the truth, and most importantly, the stories that the other networks and the other shows either refuse to cover, or even worse, try to cover up. We don't believe in doing that.
Let me interject for just a second with that, because what you say is so valid, though, so critical. Listen, as Patrick Buchanan said in an interview with me years ago, at the highest level, the Republicans and the Democrats, I like that one, the Republicans and the Democrats are nothing more than the two wings of the same bird of prey. So where the focus needs to come around to in this country is who's the bird of prey.
Exactly.
And they've been responsible for the decline or the decay of America. This isn't something that's just come about by chance. This is intentional. We've been under attack. The enemy is domestic, not foreign. Our true threat is right here on our soil. They have invited the Trojan horse in. And although I identify much more with the conservative party than I ever could anymore with the Democrats, this is not the Democratic Party of John F. Kennedy. That's for damn sure. But I will tell you this, as part of that Reagan movement, that young youth movement, I voted for Reagan as a baby boomer, okay, in 1980. I will tell you right now, with the utmost confidence, I'm disgusted with our Republican Party because they've been weak.
Yes.
These runaway Democrat radical progressives accountable. And I'll tell you, we cannot afford to watch that Republican Party undermine any further than it already has been. I'm going to turn it back to you.
Well, and we've said it before, but I think it's worth saying again. It's time, as you and I both see it, for all good men and women to act. And that's, again, what this show is about, is forming a movement. You know, it's time that we hold these institutions accountable for their lies and for their corruption, because until the corruption is addressed in this country, nothing else matters. The corruption is the most important thing that we need to focus on as citizens. And I know that we're going to do that in the coming segments. We're out of time for today, but I hope that you'll both like this video and then share it to your social media pages if you know that this content is going to be valuable to the people who are in your circle. And if you'll tune into our next segment, we're going to discuss why you're not crazy for thinking that America looks more and more today like a third world nation, a banana republic. We're going to cover that in more depth in our next episode. I want to thank you personally for watching today.
You've been watching Revelation Nation with Maxon and Platts. I'm Mark Maxon.
And I'm Shiloh Platts.
God bless you.